what's up, everybody? Welcome and thanks for joining us. You're tuned into the Old Terps podcast, brought to you by the good folks at New Amendment. My name is Andrew Terrell. I'm one of your hosts for this series. I'm here with three gentlemen that I hold, very fondly in my life: Travis Valmon, Kevin Huerter, and Reese Mona. Quick intro about ourselves. I'll start. My name's Andrew. A lot of people refer to me as the man. I'm going to be giving you guys good insight into, what's going on with the program. Maybe not so much on the floor. That's more of a Kevin Huerter thing, but I can give you some funny riffs here and there. Currently living in Indianapolis, Indiana. I'm in real estate development. The background, yes, those are my childhood trophies. Yes, I am living with my parents. So, it's going really well for me. So, yeah, that's me.
Fellas, happy to be joining you on this podcast. I'm Kevin Huerter. Currently play for the Sacramento Kings. Spent the last 4 years of my life with the Atlanta Hawks. Previously, obviously attended the University of Maryland. Was a teammate of U3 and ready to talk some basketball.
I'm Reese Mona, and unfortunately, I don't play on the Sacramento Kings, but currently, I'm in the financial services industry. At Maryland, I played on the 2017 to 2021 team. So on the call, only two of us are Big Ten champs. That's Trav and myself. That was in 2020. And then I also, to stay in basketball, I assistant coach on a team called McDonough High School in Pomfret, Maryland. Not the Baltimore McDonough, but we're a public school and we're 9-1 right now, so we're rolling too. But I'll pass it over to Trav.
I'm Travis Valmon. So that was 2016 to 2020. I was on the team, so I'm Kev's year. 2020 Big Ten champ, as Reese said, my last year. I was voted Scout Team Point Guard of the year in the country by a panel of myself. You can ask for the film. I live in New York City now. Big city dreams, Big Apple. I'm semi-retired. I no longer play Division I college basketball. I no longer play in the NBA, but I do continue to play in men's league on Tuesdays and Thursday nights. So if anybody wants some work, they can get it. During the day, I work at Goldman Sachs doing finance, so not quite handing out buckets, but we're doing something. We're keeping busy.
I didn't add this, but I'm a 2015 through 2019 guy. We had a good couple teams. I think all of us experienced a lot of different things in college. Everybody was pretty much the man in high school. Some of us have good experiences of, scoring 30 points on the court. Other of us have great experiences, talking shit on the bench. So we can give you a variety of things here. I think first things first, I think we need to dive into the X's and O's. Maryland Terrapins went on the road to the Rutgers this past week. Not good, guys. I mean, I'm just going to be the first to say it. It is, it's bad. It's really bad right now.
Right. We started off hot. There was a lot of promise. We looked great to start the year. Obviously, teams go through their ups and downs, but the Rutgers game was not.
Dude,
a
we
fun
just
one.
have
that's for sure.
We've all experienced
like
Rutgers. We've all been there. It's not an easy place to win, but it's usually not that embarrassing.
The energy is weird. The energy there is,
It feels like a high school gym. The crowd is talking to you, but they're not really bothering you, but they're just there. It's kind of tight. It's compact. It gets loud a little bit. And you're like, why the hell are we here? It's
especially
weird.
for Maryland.
I don't know. It's weird.
Dude, you're taking a bus there. Then your locker room is dude, it's very similar to high school where you walk from the locker room through their auxiliary gym, that back area into the court. The locker room is cinder blocks. It's just uncomfortable. I felt like I was in jail when I went there, to be honest. And shout out Jillian Huerter. She's a big time freshman recruit there for the women's basketball team. But hey, Rutgers ain't my place. Let me tell you.
Well, that's what's tough. I got to watch what I'm saying. And Rutgers has been good. Rutgers has been good on both sides the last couple of years, but it still feels like doesn't matter how good they are. You look at your preseason schedule, you see Rutgers on your schedule, and you point at that game and say, that's a win. Like we're gonna go into Rutgers and we're gonna win that game. And then those games that you don't come out with them, those are tough. The energy is weird there. Maybe it's changing around. Steve Peichel's done a good job, but it's just a weird place to win.
I slightly disagree with the fact of seeing Rutgers. Now, if you see Rutgers at home, you don't want to lose that. But when you see that in front of Rutgers, it's always tough. And you can see they beat some big time teams at Rutgers. But it's just one of those things. It was kind of never close. I mean, I think we had 17 points in the first half. I don't think we ever even had a lead, maybe early, but just no shot. There wasn't a lot of energy. Weren't making shots, and it was just tough to watch.
We have like some
game.
big issues with not only scoring droughts, but like, dude, we don't put shots up for minutes. I think that's our biggest issue is, I mean, I was watching with my dad, and multiple times we just kind of made eye contact and just kind of like chuckled like, hey, this is pretty bad. I mean, this is bad basketball. You know, I even sent a tweet out. You know, I think me, Reese, and Trav could possibly score more than 17 and a half. And it's so weird because we've seen the good and now we're seeing like the extreme bad. And I don't understand why I know there's peaks and valleys, but man, these valleys are fairly low.
I mean, I think when we look at this team, like the first thing everybody notices is probably like it's not a ton of depth and not a lot of ways to manufacture easy buckets. So you on a road at a place like Rutgers, they're always going to show up. They're tough. They guard. And you turn the ball over 20 times. Like, you're just not getting enough shots up. And on a team like this one where we don't always get a ton of inside production, we don't always shoot the ball well from the outside. Like, you have to get as many shots as possible. I think that just off the outset was like, okay, that was almost like a death sentence. Like, if you're going to go in that gym, you got to take care of the ball. You got to get shots up. Or else you don't have a chance because those guys always show up. They always somehow shoot the hell of the ball out of the ball at home. They make shots, they guard, they rebound. So you got to take care of it. And that at initially was what put us down. And then I kind of like had to shield my eyes because I was just like, I can't. It was
Differently
a lot of
than the
turnovers.
NBA. Like, what's the toughest thing to do in the Big Ten? Bar none, plain and simple, win on the road. I mean, it doesn't matter if you're at Rutgers. We had the weirdest seasons, Kevin and, well, everybody except for Reese, that your guys' freshman year in 2016. We won like every game on the road. Your guys' freshman year, and then sophomore year, we couldn't win a game on the road. It's so weird how, you go back and forth in those type of aspects. But toughest thing in the world to do, I think, winning on the road in the Big Ten. It's just loud arenas. They're tight. They're small. They're big. It doesn't matter. There's just like a variety of everything. And people play hard. It's tough to bang bodies in loud arenas.
I mean, we used to talk about it back when we were in school, but like you go on the road at a Big Ten road game, and you're almost giving yourself like a 6-8 point handicap just off of like it's gonna be some bad calls, some home cooking. So you're gonna give up a couple points there. There's gonna be a guy who's 9th on the scouting report who walks out onto the court and scores 8 more points than he averages, something like that, just home cooking. And these gyms, like, these are tough places to play. Like, people love their basketball in the Big Ten. They show up, they show out. Makes it very uncomfortable. So you kind of have to be extra tight, extra just clean with your game if you want to win those games. And they're all close. They all come down to the wire. It's a thin margin.
It's just like you said, like everybody, when you play at home, everybody plays well at home. It doesn't matter if you're the best player, you're the 8th or 9th guy coming off the bench. Like your best players have to play well when you go on the road. And I thought, especially in that first half against Rutgers, our depth is definitely not a strength. I think we've actually talked about it that I think Coach Willard has found more depth than we thought they had, even initially at the start of the year, that he's gotten a lot out of players that maybe we didn't have high expectations for, maybe didn't know their game as much. But just our best players have to play better on the road. And I think that's why you've seen a small skid, especially offensively, the production on that side. I feel like some guys' confidence aren't where it was at the beginning of the year when things were hot, when we were winning at home. And obviously that's something that we got to get back to.
Kev,
our best players got to be there on the road.
What did Shaq say? I apologize. I wasn't familiar with your game. I owe you an apology. Some of the guys like that. I think like I look at somebody like Tay, for example. When I think of like the drop off, and I'm just like, at the beginning of the year, Tay couldn't put a foot wrong. Like he was in the paint, perimeter post, backing guys down, getting his little like float, mid-range, push shot game going. He's making threes, and now I feel like every shot he takes, every other one is like coming up short. And I don't know if
I think he's second guessing himself. You can see
Yeah.
he's thinking. And I feel like he went into the year like I'm the guy, I'm the dog. And I think that Jameer in a lot of ways has taken that over. And Dante hasn't shot it as well as I think he would like to. And maybe he's turning the ball over a little bit, but you can see him, he's starting to think a little bit. And I mean, even back to when he was a freshman, like his best basketball is aggressive basketball. He's flying around defensively, he's switching. Offensively, he can be a little bit reckless, just putting his head down and getting downhill and taking, pick and pop kind of more pick and pop level threes. And obviously they need him to do more than that this year. But yeah, he needs to continue to make aggressive mistakes. That's just the way his game is.
And the way they've been.
Kev, I asked you because you've been on, you've gotten a couple more buckets than we have on the road. Does it ever get comfortable playing on the road? Because you only stayed 2 years, but when you went from freshman to sophomore year, did you notice a considerable amount of comfort when you're on the road, or is it always, hey, hit that first shot and let's get going? And if you miss it, man, you tighten up a little bit. How was that for you when you were playing?
Yeah, I definitely think it's important to find your rhythm and find your tempo early in the game. The one thing about the road that was always nice, and especially in college, just because of the strength of the home crowds, that when you get on a roll on the road, I almost think it's more fun just because you got 20 people in the gym rooting for you. Every time you score a bucket, the place goes deaf, except you can just hear the small cheers from your bench and that small contingent of fans that you got behind your bench. That sometimes when you get it going on the road, you almost get more unconscious just because you can feel everybody rooting against you, and it just the whole time you're just kind of playing like a big like F you to the crowd as you're trying to win a basketball game, where it's easy to do it at home. You get on a roll, and sometimes there's more pressure at home to make shots. You can feel the crowd gets behind you, and every shot you miss, you feel the size. And on the road, you don't get any of that. It's like I feel like you can play a little bit more free, especially when you get going. It can kind of screw around with you a little bit, but it's tougher to get going on the road, and it's tougher to obviously stay hot. You just don't feel the energy.
Kevin Huerter at Syracuse, he had Trav, Andrew, and I yelling, and then his 20 family members.
Bro, but it's also
it's like you hit a shot and you just hear like there's small cheers coming from somewhere. I don't exactly know where.
It's I always remember my freshman year with Mello and Jake Lehman. We were on the road somewhere. I was at Northwestern, and Mello was unconscious, and man, it was loud. And they were right on top of you. We were the number 2 team in the country. So we sold Northwestern out, and it's not like a crazy place to play, but Turgeon brought us all into the huddle, and he's like, "You guys hear that?" And it was nothing. You couldn't hear anything. And he was like, "Don't you fucking love that?" Sorry for the F-bomb, but I mean, it was like one of those moments where it's true. Like you get adrenaline from hearing nothing. Whereas at home, man, that adrenaline is from the crowd noise. So, you take it one step further, you get beat at Rutgers, tough game. In 11 games, the Knights are allowing only 50 points a game. So it's like you're going from a tough away game against a really good defensive team to now you're going to home against Ohio State, a really good offensive team. And then, we play our best basketball of the year almost. We shoot the ball well. We don't take contested threes. We didn't turn the ball over a crazy amount. And we got a lot of shots up, and then we end up winning the game. It kind of shows you the difference in, I think Ohio State's probably better than Rutgers, but we still beat Ohio State, lose to Rutgers. It's that home and away aspect.
But it's been this roller coaster year, too. And it's been, we don't need to talk about it, but at Michigan was awful. It's actually, I saw an article, it was Maryland's worst loss since joining the Big Ten. And then you have the Rutgers game, another awful loss. But then you come home, you regroup, and you have an amazing game against Ohio State where Jameer drops 30. But it's just been that roller coaster year so far, which is shocking because they really come out and guard. But it's really the offense. And Rutgers, last time we talked about Rutgers, is they had an 8-minute scoring drought and then a 5-minute scoring drought. Maryland did. And that can't happen in college basketball. You're never going to win a game if you do that in the one half. But that's last. We'll talk about Rutgers. That was a tough game. But moving forward, it was a heck of a win today, getting Maryland back on track.
I think today was like a prime example of like, you've been on the road, they've been traveling a lot. You know, they had exams, things like that. I know the guys got together, met, and just talked about some things, just kind of working out some kinks in terms of like, why are we not playing quite as well as maybe we were before? I think today looked like they kind of just felt free. Like they played with like, we have nothing to lose here, which I don't think I've seen a ton of that from them lately. Like, again, we don't need to harp on those losses, but like, felt like UCLA and Michigan in these games, they felt like they were playing with like the weight of the world on their shoulders. And, you know, every time they missed a shot, they were drooping a little bit. Today, they just looked kind of loose. They played free. The best players played like the best players and carried us. I think every time Ohio State had a big shot, made a little run, we had an answer for it. And I think that was just like, it was almost like a mental flip, a switch. Like, there's no pressure on us. We're home. We're comfortable. We need this game. Let's play hard. I don't know. It was simplified in terms of like the mental approach, I think, which is like what you want to see, right? Like, It's easy to get discouraged, but they bounce back mentally, is what I wanted to see.
Another thing that I don't think a lot of college coaches do is they kind of went AAU on them. We were doing full court, kind of a crazy trapping press that I don't think a lot of coaches utilize that much. I think people allow comfort where, okay, you get you score, you come back, you play your defense, and you hopefully get a stop. I think Willard said, screw it, let's go full court press, let's trap them, let's get them uncomfortable. Oh, guess what? You're starting your offense with 20 on the shot clock. In college is not like NBA. Like when you run any type of press to get the shot clock down just a little bit, then you not only have to get the ball back into your one guard's hand to run the play, you have to get the play, get to your spot. Now you have 14 on the shot clock at best. Then what do you do in college? A high pick and roll. It's not that useful. I mean, it's not like the NBA where you have a De'Aaron Fox going downhill to get a bucket. It's just different.
Yeah.
It's disruptive. I mean, that's the biggest part of it. You press. It's something that every team has to prepare for. They don't just get to take the ball to the net and run their transition offense, and their point guard can set up and get you into a play, and they just feel comfortable. Press gets you out of rhythm. It's something you prepare for. Whether or not you're trying to get a steal or not, I love it. It's something that we've talked about. You can start to see how Maryland basketball is going to play for years to come. And if Willard's play style is, hey, we're going to score, and we're going to have both our guards pressing up and making you catch the ball along your baseline, and we're going to turn you a couple times. All of a sudden, the shot clock is at 21 seconds and you're trying to figure out what you're running. I think it's really effective. Iowa has been doing it for years. They've run that 1-2-2 kind of level press that is just disruptive. They might turn you over once a game, but it's almost more annoying than anything. And we've talked about it even in the NBA. There's some teams that you get a Davion Mitchell just picks you up full court. Like, how often do you actually steal the ball and pickpockets? Like, rarely ever. But in the NBA, you're starting your offense at 15 on the clock. Like, it just makes it a lot easier than everybody else. So I love it.
I mean, when I start my coaching career in 15 years,
Amen.
It might be Georgetown Preparatory High School.
Them boys gonna be some trash. I'm saying.
And I build a national power. It'll be on the back of a soft press. It might be on the back of a hard press too. I just think you guys hit the nail on the head in terms of the shot clock. Like, you wear the shot clock down time wise, and also like it just keeps your guys engaged. Like, they know the ball goes in the basket, it misses. Like, we're getting up, we're getting into you. Like, we are dictating tempo, we're dictating physicality. Like, we are here. This is our home floor. We're gonna dominate those types of things.
What I like, and what Kevin kind of mentioned too, it's going to be Maryland's new blueprint. It's what they are. They're dogs. They get up in you. And I was at the game today, and I saw the PVI commit was there. Kid's a stud. Kid's real good. And it's like, that's what those type of guys want to come there. They want to guard 94 feet. They want to get up you. They want to talk a little trash. And then they want to play free on offense, which is what Willard allows his guys to do. And I think that's going to get some big-time recruits coming in there.
And that's where you earn that. Like, you earn the freedom on offense to shoot those shots, to be a little bit more aggressive, free-flowing, because we know, the coaches know, the fans know, no matter what, you're going to go back on defense and fight and get it right back. Like, it goes both ways, and I think that's one great thing that we've seen about Willard is, like, look, like, he's going to let guys play with confidence, play free, take some shots, and do these types of things that he's not going to kind of hold them back offensively as long as they fight, as long as they guard, as long as they rebound, as long as they are the tougher team. And I think that's going to help us recruit. I think that's going to help us compete in games. Like when you get later and later into the season, like teams are game planning for you. They're taking you out of your stuff. Games come down to like who makes shots, who misses shots, who makes plays. And I think like that is something we're going to see more and more and more of in the program because of this kind of culture.
Well, and you know what else we've kind of talked about a little bit is the game plan aspect of it. What did we do for Michigan State every single year? We almost switched our entire game plan around them. I can't tell that many I have a couple buddies that are at Purdue. I had a couple buddies at IU. Not many people switch their game plan against us, but we would have to kind of force our hand and switch some things to be able to stop Michigan State in transition, stop Purdue's plays, etc. I think with the press, and I think the way that we're going to start switching defenses that we've already seen a little bit, people are going to have to game plan against us, and they're going to have to switch some things up. You're going to have to figure out a way to get into an offense quicker against a full court press. That's just, that's nature of it. Whereas, you see Purdue, they do the same things every single time. They run swivel and, their series. And then what do they do on defense? They just ice every ball screen. They force you toward their big, and that's how they play basketball. They don't change anything for you. So I think people are going to have to start adjusting to Maryland over the next upcoming years.
And real quick, Andrew, can you explain, Travis mentioned the first term, soft press versus hard press for the listeners. Then can you explain ice?
Yeah,
you mentioned
icing ball screens is essentially forcing everything away from the screen. So if you're on the right wing, if you're guarding the ball, typically you're going to have a ball screen toward the middle of the floor. Instead of allowing the guy to come off the ball screen, the big is going to drop back toward the baseline. You're going to force everything baseline. So essentially, you're almost creating a little zone between, you and your big guy, not letting him come off the ball screen. And then
icing is plain.
Yeah.
Icing, you just keep the ball on the sideline, like plain and simple.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say this quickly. As a smaller guard, I think I hated icing more than anything because you're just driving the ball handler towards an extra defender, which is the baseline and sideline, and you have to kind of force a cross-court-ish pass, which is tough for you're somebody my size. Like, Kevin was always good at that because he's 6'7", 6'8". He can just throw the ball over to defense. If you're me, you're 6'2". That's a tough pass to make.
I don't love icing in college either. We can get into that another point. You can make the court feel smaller in college easier than you can the NBA, and that's why teams do it in the NBA more so. That I sometimes think icing, like you're giving other teams better players, like you're giving them a lane to the basket, and a lot of times it puts a lot of pressure on the big man that's in the drop, that he's now in a back pedal. And there's a reason so many teams, or a lot of good teams at college basketball, like play pack line and pack the paint, and it's just the court is smaller. It's easier to take things away, where a lot of times in the NBA, you keep the ball out of the middle of the court just because that's where the highest percentages are and it gets everything else open. In college, I don't love icing as much, but that could be for more.
I don't think a ton of teams do it, right? Like Purdue used to do it. I don't think we'd see a lot.
Purdue did it just because that was a giant. Like they don't want Zach Edey running up the court. They don't want Isaac Haas running up the court. And at the point, Caleb Swanigan and who's a dude that transferred to BYU. Like, Purdue just harms. Like Purdue produces 7'3" guys like it's their job. I don't know what they're growing out there in Indiana. But that's why they
have like 3 options on a ball screen. You can either drop and ice. You can either hard hedge, you can switch, or you can go underneath and, do things like that. So you don't have many options. And Kevin, you're exactly right. If you have a big guy that can't move worth anything, and then on top of that, you don't have to worry about defensive 3 seconds and you can just kind of post up in the lane. Yeah, it's really smart to keep a guy, from coming off that ball screen. But if you can go 1 through 4 and switch, kind of like Maryland can this year, or even 1 through 5, because Julian Reese can move pretty well, you've got more options. And, it depends on what you know and how you teach it. And then also what the team runs. And then, one step further, just real quick, the hard press, soft press. Soft press, you're not trying to necessarily get a steal. You're kind of just slowing the pace down. Hard press is more where you see you're up 94 feet. There's a trap every once in a while. It's kind of what you see more at the end of games rather than, just allowing a team to come up and hoping that they waste 8 or 9 seconds on the shot clock. transitioning here a little bit, upcoming schedule for the Terps. I know we have at Iowa, where at Iowa, man, I know a lot of people don't respect going to Iowa, or doesn't look like many fans are there. There's a lot of fans there, and it's, it's dark, like lighting, and a lot of white people. I mean, it's crazy. It almost makes you feel a little uncomfortable while you're in there. Travis, it is.
Sure as Jim.
So
It is,
and that's why they shoot the hell out of it. But anyway, it's a tough
piss out of it
place to play because it gets somewhat loud, but it's also Iowa, Indiana, Iowa. Like, who wants to go to Iowa? It's colder than hell when you get off the plane. You get to the gym. It's dark on the outside. The floor is weird. The tunnel coming in and out of the arena sucks. Everything about it I just can't stand. And, so that'll be a tough game. And I think Iowa's pretty good. Kev, you got a brother on the team with Keegan Murray. I know Chris is pretty solid himself.
Not bad.
Big week for us, obviously. Me and Keegan have a big time gentleman's bet on the line.
I like it.
For the people listening, Keegan's hilarious with Iowa. He obviously he watches every game, but him and Chris are so competitive. They're like they're the twin brothers that bicker about everything. And I don't know Chris at all, but you could just tell in the stories that we've heard from McCaffrey on a lot of their interactions. But it's like we were in practice earlier today, and we always bust on Keegan that Keegan's out there on the court to mostly do one thing. That's put the ball in the basket. You get drafted 4th overall. You're out on the court to score. And so we were going through a drill today in practice where he had to drive into the paint and make a kick, and for another guy to shoot. So he went in and forgot the drill, went into the paint, came to 2 feet and shot the ball. And it's like typical of Keegan, and like Harrison Barnes yelled out like, "Hey Keegan, Chris would have passed that. Like Chris would have found the open guy." You can tell just like no, he's like, "No, he wouldn't have." Like no.
Take that person.
And it's like, and every time we had some the other day, we're like, Keegan, you ever have 30 and 10 in a college game? And he's like, I hold the all-time leading scoring record in Iowa this season. He's very like Keegan can't joke about it, and so this is it's a big time game. Obviously, if Maryland wins, I'm going to be all over him. But his and Chris's, the interactions and what I could see from afar.
So Iowa, I have actually watched a ton of Iowa this year. Obviously, they're going to be missing one of the McCaffrey brothers. But other than that, their starting lineup is very, very solid. They've got Perkins, Ulis, McCaffrey, the other McCaffrey, Connor. And they've got Rebraca.
Man, been shooting that this year, man. He's been knocking them down this year.
No, he's shooting that thing.
We used to play off him. We used to give him that shot.
Well, it's crazy.
Can't do that anymore.
It's crazy. They go 2 Rutgers today. We're just talking about how tough it is to win at Rutgers. They go 2 Rutgers and they beat them by 11. So it's like they're starting to get a little bit hot, and they beat IU at home. They came back from 21 down. So they're starting to find their mojo here a little bit, and that's pretty scary. I'd like to say at Iowa is already tough, but against a hot team that's shooting the ball well and they're kind of figuring out their mojo. They play quick. They shoot anything that they want. They suck on defense, but they make up for it. Yeah. It's.
They put the ball they put the ball in the basket. What? The thing for me that like matchup wise, why I'm okay with it, Iowa also is not the biggest team in the Big Ten. They're going to struggle a little bit this year with the size of the Big Ten. That matchup wise, like there's a game that we need to see Juju. I think it's this game, and Iowa's going to score the ball. Like it's going to be track meet. We're going to try to press, but like there's one thing you can mark down is Iowa's going to score. And I think especially going on the road are we going to be able to keep up with them? But I just think it should be a better matchup for some of our guys that their size won't be a factor like I think other teams' size have been.
That's a great point.
Will be in the Big Ten.
I think it's a great point with us. It's a better matchup versus a Purdue where you play Edey and Juju's, it's 2 fouls 4 minutes in. I think where they get tricky defensively, they usually are god awful, but they will switch it up on you. So they'll run a man, then they'll run like a junkie zone, and then they'll run a 1-3-1. You don't really know what you're getting. You can't get comfortable. You can't run your sets the same way.
Like it's not a
not
like
easy.
what we just talked about. It's not a hard press. Man, they're kind of backing you up, baiting you. Kevin, you played in the middle of that 1-3-1 every now and then, or the point of it. They have guys that know how to gauge that pass where you don't want to pressure the ball in that instance. You want to make the guy feel suffocated and then back up, and then you know, that's how you get your tips. They do a really good job of that.
Nicholas Bears,
Oh,
one of the
dude,
best
I
I've ever
hated
seen.
that.
Remember that
I
guy? He was
hated
kind of
that
like hunchback a little bit, and he'd like stun at you, then they'd back up, and you pick the ball up, and then everybody's denying. It's tough, and I think like they're gonna set in a little bit here. Like they have 3 of the next 5 at home. This is a great step for us to like take that next step, right? Like we got a big win at home. Can you go on the road, beat a team that's gonna be feeling good, getting hot, has like this homestand coming up where they're thinking they can make a little run in the standings? Like, it's a big opportunity for us.
I think it's a race to 80, and it's just, are we going to get to 80?
Can we get to 80?
Like you said, we could. If we're hitting shots, we can easily get to 80. It's just if we start missing threes, are we going to just keep chucking and praying, or are we going to try to feed the juju, get something going, and then go inside out? Because a lot of times those 5-minute spurts are just we stop making threes, but we're just keep shooting them. And I liked against Ohio State, Zed Key was out, and Juju, he ate. He played pretty well, dominated. When they needed buckets, he was there. And I think Iowa doesn't have that dominant big man to where if they need something inside, they should go inside.
I think one of the things with Iowa that scares me a little bit is, you know, a lot of time you don't want to make it a race on the road. What's the one thing that travels? Defense. You know, you can't always trust your offense. I don't know if we're good enough defensively to keep them off 80 points. So I agree. I think the offense is going to have to travel or it's going to be a long night. I mean, they're not going to stop shooting. I've never seen a team airball more threes and then shoot a 3 on the next possession. It's very similar. Kevin, I don't know if you remember this at Minnesota. At Minnesota, you airballed one right in the left corner in the second half. I mean, you airballed it by like 7-8 feet. And you're a freshman. And I said, oh God,
at the ball,
he's in trouble. And then very next play comes off a pin down top of the key, and he just, I mean, check. That thing was splashy. So it's one of those where you're going to have 5 of those guys on that team. Chris Murray airballed a free throw the other night. Airballed a free throw. He had 31 and he airballed a free throw. It makes no sense. And then he comes down and he hits 2 free throws to ice the game out. So I think you got a lot of guys on that team that are super confident because their coach instills it in them. And you're going to have to match them kind of pound for pound with points.
Hope he goes ballistic.
I'm looking ahead of this game. And the reality of the situation, if you look at the next 3 games after Iowa,
who do we have? I don't even know who we have.
You know, this is a big win, especially just for our season. I'm also looking forward. I'm looking forward to the Dante and Chris Murray matchup. I think both guys will have aspirations playing at the next level. It's going to be a good matchup. It's hopefully one I think Dante should be up for, but I think those guys will be going at it most of the game.
Good.
I want Maryland to take it to Michigan after that, though. I mean, we just got
they got to bounce back. They got to bounce
There's no
back.
way Willard's not lighting a fire.
Yeah, well, luckily,
they got to bounce
the thing
back.
is, Willard doesn't. I mean, that's old beef, though. Michigan is old beef. That's not Willard's beef. So
It's still Maryland's beef. All the fans know about it. There's no way Dante and Keaton don't remember all that.
But as dudes, we got punched in the mouth. We got knocked out 5 minutes into the game. I was shielding my eyes. I was just like, this is tough, and it gave me slightly PTSD from when they came to Xfinity and whatever year that was. Me and Drew had broken our ankles that year. We were on the sideline in boots, and Abdul Rahman, I forget, that's his name, right? Had 32 in the first half.
But at least that game we came back and won the second half.
Reese was out there getting buckets. Reese was playing with 16 minutes left. Sorry, I'm throwing F-bombs everywhere.
Here's the tough part about Michigan is that since Hunter Dickinson has put on a Michigan jersey, he has made it obviously.
I hate Hunter Dickinson.
There's beef with Maryland. There's no one's hiding that. He has dominated every single time he has played Maryland, and it is tough to watch. Like every single game, he is dominated. So we get back at home. Hopefully, we got something different for him because I'm sick and tired of seeing that guy look at our bench.
I'm fed up, man. I'm fed up. I'm telling you, I'm fed up.
Hang on. Just because I don't want to give the guy too much credit. He's good. And luckily, we don't play them for another week and a half, so we can talk about this next Sunday. But I just have to say this. What pisses me off about Hunter Dickinson the most is that he's going to be a really average EuroLeague guy. You know? Yeah, he's going to be a really average EuroLeague guy. That guy's not playing in the NBA. Can't move. Couldn't guard me one-on-one. That's all I'll say about that. We got them in a week and a half, though. We can touch on Hunter Dickinson and that guy and, you know, the rest of that team next week. Real fast, just because we're coming up on the end of this. Kevin Willard, we haven't talked about this is the first episode. Kevin Willard, Mark Turgeon. Just so everybody knows, we are Turgeon people. We like Turgeon. He was our coach. He recruited, us to go play there. I'm a Turgeon guy. I'll never say anything bad about him. That doesn't mean I'm also not excited about what's going on with Willard and how he's going to start coaching people. I think he's going to get some good recruits. Just for fans looking around saying, what the hell has happened with UCLA, all these games that have gone on these past couple days, that's what comes with it, man. You look at the IUs or, other teams that get new coaches, it takes a while. The beginning was an anomaly. That was weird that we won those games, that we were so close with some of those teams.
It's crazy.
It was awesome to look
Impressive.
toward the future, but it's going to be growing pains. We're going to get freshmen next year that are going to be expected to lead us. Freshmen don't lead in the Big Ten. That's just a fact. Purdue's doing it right now, but you'll see that break back a little bit. Give it 3 years. Give it 2 years next year. But stay with these guys and, don't get on Willard for some of these losses because we've got time and he has time. That's what I'll say about that.
And I think being on both sides now, we've been players, and now we are kind of alums fans. Like, you see a little bit of both sides, and I think we can all appreciate how difficult it is to win college basketball. Like, it is just really, really hard to win games, to win championships. So as fans now, I think, again, it would behoove us all to kind of, as Drew's kind of alluding to, just be patient with these guys. Over the long haul, as a program, and even in season, you just have these ups, you have these downs. It's a long season. It is a grind. Stick with these guys and support them, because that is how we kind of get to the end, look back and say, you know what, we weathered the storm and we made something out of this
why?
team. So I don't know. It's just interesting.
You know why it's taken Maryland football a long time to come back, or a Rutgers, it's taken them forever to even start, is because when your fan base doesn't support and come out and sell out arenas, it is really hard to get recruits. So that's one thing too. You got to stay with them. You can't go on, Instagram, Twitter and start, rocking these dudes. They've been bad the past couple of games. I think they probably know that. I mean, at some point you got to look in the mirror, but you got to stay with them. You still got to come to the games. You still got to support, because that's big toward recruiting. Recruits don't want to come and look at 5,000 fans in a 20,000 arena. That looks terrible. Keep coming, keep supporting. In 2 years, I guarantee this will be turned in the right direction. If it's not already in the right direction, I don't know. Who knows? Maybe we'll make the tournament and go to a Sweet 16. But just stay with the guys.
And I love how hard the guys play for Willard. And I mean, these aren't even his guys yet. Dante Hakeem, he did not recruit. Juju, he did not recruit. But they're there playing hard. And it's fun to watch that these aren't even his guys that he recruited. And they really like Willard. And Willard really likes them. So it's been a good mix. And before we go, I do think we need to shout out Jameer Young a little more today. Had a 30 ball.
30 and 10 and 11.
Double. 30 and 11.
Yeah.
We should have looked up the last guard to get 30 and 11 in Xfinity Center. But
Shout out.
I know it is.
Yeah,
it
is.
is.
Fast,
the
yes.
general. It's grievous.
Oh,
He's the last one to do it.
We got some.
Oh,
you got to talk about
I
that later, Drew.
Yeah, I don't even want to get into that.
Drew's getting cooked. Drew's looking at his phone. I'm getting cooked.
What do you?
Andrew's got Twitter fingers. He's a good follow. Go out there and follow.
It's brought
the
to you
coach.
by the coach, man. I got good insight.
You might have to change that.
Yeah, we'll see.
It might be time to retire Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning's done.
Hey, man, he's
Get his ass
a
out of
sheriff.
here.
He's a sheriff.
You're done, buddy. You're cooked, pal.
Andrew on social media.
Yeah, I
he's
am a ghost. You better
ghost.
believe it. You can't find me. You never will. Okay, so
Yeah, all right.
this
Sounds
is
good.
this is our first episode. Me, Trav, Kev, Reese. We are really fired up and excited to keep talking with you guys. I think we're going to do this once a week, every Sunday, and the podcast will drop, I believe, the day after, maybe 2 days after. I'm not sure. But just know we're real fired up. We're going to keep bringing you guys good insight, we hope, into the games, looking forward to games, and then inside the program. So, if you guys have anything you want to ask us, especially Kevin, I know a lot of people are going to have questions for Kevin. We can hit on a lot of stuff. If you want to know what an arena is like, let us know. We can hit that. If you want to know what hitting a big shot's like, hey, Kev's hit a couple. I can't say I have, but Kev's hit a couple. So
I thought you was gonna say me, and I was gonna say
we've seen some
We've seen
shots.
some good ones.
I've also buried a big triple in Cancun. I can't forget it. So just send us your questions. We're really excited to start talking with you guys and keep you guys entertained as best we can. Next episode will be coming out next Sunday. We will go over the Iowa game and look forward to the Michigan game. And that's it. That's episode 1 of the Old Terps podcast. I appreciate you guys tuning in, and we hope to see you guys next week.
Beyond the Big Ten is a network of podcasts that aims to be your go-to resource for all things Big Ten. We cover the entire conference with shows hosted by ex-players and athletic alumni, aiming to be your go-to source of information and entertainment for your favorite team. Hosted by ex-Big Ten players, media, and insiders, our podcasts are focused on giving diehard fans and those alums an inside scoop about the teams and people that make the Big Ten Conference one of the most watched and most talked about conferences in sports. We're excited to talk Big Ten basketball with you wherever you may be. Subscribe now.